BallPark Sports Lounge with your hosts, Larry Watson and John DeMakis.
Welcome to BallPark Sports Lounge for our second episode. I'm Larry Watson.
And I'm John DeMakis.
And John, right off the shot, I'm going to put you on the spot right away. I'm going to be your fairy godfather.
Okay.
I'm going to make you a world-class athlete.
Oh, how nice.
Okay. I'm going to put you as a professional football player.
Okay.
Playing at the highest level in the game of your life. Okay.
Got it.
All right. Would you, if they would name a play after you? Now, spoiler alert, you do great.
Well, that's always nice.
Okay. Yeah. If they named a play after you, would you rather it be named the catch or the stop? And here comes the hate mail.
Well, everybody always says, the catch is the one. But, I got to say, you look into the future just a little bit. And without the stop, I mean, that changes the 49ers.
Okay. Hear me out on this one.
Okay.
Again, hate mail's coming. The catch, right? Design play. Quarterback has to make a throw or a handoff. Receiver has to make the catch. Running back has to make the run. Line has to block. Coach has to call it. Coordinator has to draw it. It's practiced over and over and over.
Right.
You look at the famous plays in NFL history. Most of them are named after offensive plays.
Yeah.
Holy roller, immaculate reception, the drive, the catch to. I don't know of any that are named for defense.
That's true.
Except the stop.
Yes.
Right. And there's a kicker. Okay. Defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
Offense makes the cover of Sports Illustrated. Offense makes ESPN. Defense wins championships.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Well, we're going to meet today the creator, owner, author, and illustrator of the Stop, Dan Bunce. Stick with us.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back to the BallPark Sports Lounge. With us today on set, we have Dan Bunce, forever 49er. And Dan, you've been awfully busy post-football as well as your time with the Niners.
Oh, yes.
What are you doing now to keep yourself busy?
Well, I retired from education after 30 years, and that was very interesting. And I think I retired at the right time. Things are changing in the field. And I got a ranch in between Lincoln and Auburn. We grow lavender. And so you think, oh, I'm going to retire. I'll have a lot of free time. Oh, I'm working harder now. Sometimes chasing kids around is easier than weeding and pulling and trimming and cutting and maintaining the ranch, fixing sprinklers. So it's a different world.
And what took you from the football field to the lavender field?
Well, I always loved living out in the country, and I bought property out there. And my wife is a big horse person, and I used to ride horses, so we got into horses for a while and bred horses and did some things. And I got this property, and she was a little upset that I built a big pond before we even had a house. We lived in a trailer for a long time. She was like, "Are you kidding me?" It's the focal point of the whole property. And so it turned out nice. And eventually we got the house built, and we're still there and we love it.
And when can people come visit you?
Yeah, we have open lavender days. My daughter also does a photography business out of there because, it's a nice setting. And so people come out to do photography, family shoots. And then we have the lavender farm, and my wife makes all kinds of products, lavender oil, lavender creams, lavender salves, everything lavender. And it's nice and it's very calming. And being a middle linebacker, I need to try to stay calm sometime.
Yes.
So she kind of got into that, thinking maybe this will relax him.
Well, I want to point out lavender shirt.
Yeah, I did my best.
I should have wore mine, but I thought I'd do a 49er shirt.
That's fantastic. How can folks find you? Now, the farm, it's in Lincoln, California, yes?
Yeah, it's between Lincoln and Auburn, and you just look it up, Buns Lavender, and you'll find it. It's kind of a dichotomy, Buns Lavender. I don't know if they both go together, but it's Buns Lavender.
Awesome.
And one of the things I've noticed is you've got quite the history in the area. A little bit.
I've been here a long time. Born and raised in Roseville, Oakmont High School. Brother went to Roseville. Other brother went to Adelante. Done a lot of things in Roseville. Delivered the Press Tribune when I was a kid on the street. Actually sold them to people on the street, and then got a paper route later. So
I remember as a kid down in the Bay Area, hearing that the 49ers were practicing in Rockland, California, and I remember thinking, "Where's Rockland?" and it was Sierra College. I mean, you have your history with them as well. And I understand you're the responsible party for bringing everybody to Rockland. Is that correct?
yeah. Well, later I coached there. My brother went to school there and played football there, and I went in, and actually Bill Walsh had come in, and things were changing, and I thought my number was coming up because he was getting rid of all the old guys. And I said, "Look, if you're going to get rid of me, get rid of me now." And he goes, "Well, we got to go somewhere else to train. We're probably going to go to San Jose." I said, "San Jose is terrible. You got a bus to it. It's a hard field. Sierra College is trying to get the Raiders. I train up there. They got a pool. They got everything." So the next day I was out there running, working out, and here comes John McVay and all the administrators. And, "Hey, Dan," and they're looking at everything. And so they decided to come to Sierra College. So it was exciting, except the offensive line were all my buddies, and they go, "It is 105. Bunzo, are you crazy?" Well, we're in the pits of hell. And so every time we went out to the White Front or someplace, they're like, "Bunzo's buying, Bunzo's buying." And so I did. I was like, my wife's like, "How can you spend all this money?" "Well, I'm buying all the drinks for the guys because I feel bad that we're here." So the funny thing was, we start our season, we have a great season, we win, and then everybody's like, "Oh yes, we got to train in the heat. We got in such great shape. We won the Super Bowl. That's our lucky spot." So then the next year I said, "All right, all you idiots are buying."
Yeah, absolutely. You owe me now.
Yeah. So I got it all back the next year. I didn't buy one drink.
And can I point out 5 Super Bowl titles?
Yes.
Training at Sierra College.
I don't know why they don't come back. I'm like,
Just saying.
everywhere else I said they get close.
Yeah.
And we went to a couple of games. I just don't know what it's like to be on the team and lose a Super Bowl. That's very hard. And so even my wife and I would say they need to come back to Sierra.
Yep. I think you got.
I would
quite
even
the
come out and
argument
coach
there.
if they come there. I'll coach in camp.
So you were a first-round draft pick of the Niners. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like in coming to the team? Was there extra pressure in training camp coming in as a number 1?
Oh yeah, everybody's looking at you like, "Oh, here's the top dog." And I was shocked because coming out of Long Beach State, we weren't a powerhouse. We weren't like a USC or UCLA, and so I was excited, but I got in really great shape, and I said, I got to prove myself because everybody's going to be going, "Who is this guy from Long Beach?" So when I came into camp, I mean, I ran miles and jumped and lifted, and I hit all my goals that I wanted to hit. So when I came into camp, I was like zeroed in, and I wasn't going to take no for an answer from anybody. And camp was good. We had some tough years there, and then we got Bill Walsh, and then he cut everybody and got a whole new set of teams, except for the offensive line, stayed pretty intact. But then we lost again. We were 2-14. So they're going, is it better? I said, well, I don't know. Everybody's getting cut and we're the same. And then finally we had that turnaround year. And really what happened was he was always going offense. And you didn't draft anybody higher than 8th round. And then the next draft was the Ronnie Lott and all those guys. And then we got all the DBs. And it was funny because back when I played linebacker and the ball, it was pass situation, I dropped back. I would look, and if the ball went up over my head, it was just like, oh no, I'm thinking touchdown.
Completion for sure.
Yeah. And so then, and I always felt if I didn't make the tackle, there was nobody going to tackle him. But then we got Lott and Eric Wright and Dwight Hicks and, those guys, the ball would go up over my head and I realized someone's going to get knocked out back there because those guys would fly around and they were great. And so a lot of times I would have to hustle back to, you didn't get a chance to make tackles anymore because those guys were eating them up like this, So it was a good combination. And then we got some good defensive linemen and Walsh realized you win with defense. So we got Ray Wershing. He'll kick a couple field goals. And if they don't score, we win 6-0, 9-0. That's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know there's dire straits in the secondary, 78, 79, 80. They were having open tryouts and whatnot. I remember James Owens, who was a really high pick of the team as a wide receiver. Walsh stuck him back there.
Yeah.
It was that tough to find
anybody. What he was doing back there.
No, he's been a receiver his whole life, and now he's supposed to guard somebody. I think he was a safety, and he got torched. They lost the game. He's all right, get him out of there. But 81 draft, you mentioned it. You brought a whole new secondary in. Williamson, Wright, Lott, and Hicks, who I think was working at a health food store.
Yeah, Dwight Hicks.
He's off in a health food store. And this is how crazy this all is. But then they bring in Fred Dean, ended up being a Hall of Famer, Hacksaw Reynolds, who was a star in the league. What was it like to have Hacksaw and Fred come in on that defense?
Well, Fred was a character. He was a different cat. He was laid back. I said, Fred, what are you doing? He wouldn't come out sometimes to practice till later. He'd say, oh, Fred's tired. Fred got a rest, and then when he would come out, he would just turn it on. I mean, he just had this thing about him, and that's what makes teams win. When you have different type of characters that, sometimes, where is Fred? Oh, Fred's still in the training room. He has a headache. Oh. And then he comes out. Is it pass rush? He just wanted to come out to pass rush. That's all he wanted to do. And he was good at it. I said, just let him pass rush, man. I love to see him in there. When he's in there, they were like, everybody was, there he is. He's over there. We started moving him. And then it was like chaos out there. They didn't know what to think. But no, we had a great group of guys. And when they brought in the DBs, and I say you win with defense, and Walsh finally realized that because he was offense. And even in practice, I'm like, I've never been on a team where the offense gets, 70% of the time and we just do whatever's left, and then that changed too, because then George and them started saying, all right, we got to work these rookies. So we started getting equal time, and that's when we started winning.
Did you notice a difference just in the area between 78, 79, 80, where, I know you mentioned before, the home fans were booing, which is ridiculous. I always was raised, you don't boo your home team.
Yeah.
Then here's 81, where everybody and their sister say, I've been a fan since 1946. And what do you say as a player that was there through the tough years, and you got the guy, I've been coming out to Candlestick forever. For you guys, was it like, oh, well, thanks? Or did you say, hey, where were you 78, 79?
No, I questioned some guys because, if they're going to say that, I'm like, really? I looked in the stands. There might have been 20, not even that. It was just dotted. It was empty. And then we started winning, and you couldn't get in. It was like chaos. You had to fight for tickets. People were hawking them outside for big money, and I was like, wow, it's night and day. Winning and losing, it's night and day. So all of a sudden, all the fans show up, and like you said, I've been a fan forever. Well, where were you 2 years ago? But and my brother, which was great, my oldest brother, and he's the one that got me to go to college and taught me to train and challenged my brother Ben. And he was the biggest 49 fan ever. And he about when I made that tackle, he about flipped out of the stadium over the side. He was hanging on the rail. Good thing he's strong. He pulled himself back up because when I made the play, he was like, oh my God. And he goes, bro, you're on all 4 of those hits. You're like, I said, that's what I do.
Well, we're going to get into the stop in just a moment. We're going to take a small break. Stick with us.
In 4 days. There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children. She didn't know what to do.
Did you have a good day at school?
She gave them some broth without any bread.
There you go.
And kissed them all soundly
Night night.
Good night. And put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back to BallPark Sports Lounge. We're here with Dan Buns, the San Francisco 49ers. And another thing I wanted to ask you about was you had quite the restaurant here in the area for a while. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Roseville needed a good place to go that would be decent food, basic food, burgers, wings, good salads, a salad bar. And I worked in restaurants and I had done other things. I worked as a bouncer, worked at nightclubs, going through college. And I came up with this idea, a sports bar and big screens. And this was one of the first sports bars in the United States. And we put it in and started, going, and it rolled, and the city loved it. And it was right near Royer Park, where I got cut from my first Pop Warner team. I wasn't big enough to play, so they sent me home. I cried all the way home on my little Stingray bike. And so it was right in there, near the library, and it was something good for Roseville, and I enjoyed it, but it was a lot of work. And if you hadn't been in the business, you should be in the restaurant business before you get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough business.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody I've spoken to about the restaurant has nothing but good things to say.
Yeah.
Food was great.
Yeah, they enjoyed it. We had fun there.
Yeah.
I spent some late nights there. There was a couple times I just said, I'm going to go to sleep here because I got to be back at 6. It's 2:00 in the morning.
And I heard stories that it was a good place to run into a 49er every once in a while.
Oh, yeah. During camp, the guys loved coming in there, and airs and cross, and most offensive line, because I'd run into them in practice all the time, and they wanted to come in and patronize my business, thinking maybe I'd take it easy on them in practice, but that wasn't happening. And so, yeah, we had good times there, and we had little parties and birthday parties for guys, and it was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Well, as promised, we got to talk about the stop.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is, every time I see it, I think to myself, my God, what a textbook play. The perfect tackle was right on the goal line. And by the way, for those of you under a certain age, Super Bowl 16, you guys had a 20-0 lead at half.
Yeah.
And I remember I was a young tyke. I'm running around the house. We got this. Mom and Dad were alive in the early 70s watching the Niners lose championship games where they were way ahead of the halftime. So they knew the deal. And they were telling me, zip it, So we're ahead by 20. We got Joe, we got Dwight, and they were my heroes. I said, my heroes can't lose.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Cincinnati, number 2 offense in the NFL that year, here they come, and they're roaring back. And they've not only scored, they've held you, and now they're on the goal line on a first down play. You guys go right up the middle with them. They stop them. They run up the middle, up the gut again. You stop them. You're in on both hits. And I don't think Forrest Gregg gave you guys a chance to make substitutions. I think you had the same 11 out there.
Same group,
You've taken 2 massive shots up the middle in a row.
Yeah.
And now it's third and about that much.
Yeah. And
he goes out in the flat. And it's mano a mano. It was one of the coolest things ever. We all wanted to be Dan Buns in the schoolyard the next day and make that perfect hit. And not just that, it was done in such a way where if he falls forward, he scores.
Yeah.
So I mean, you still could have done everything right, and they would have gotten their 6 points. Can you take us through not just that play, but the first couple when you guys are back down and it's first down at the goal line?
Well, the first couple were lead plays, and as a backer and watching, I used to watch so much film that you would get a tendency for what the back would do. Usually they get down, they try to look one way, and every once in a while they glance where they're going. And I lined up on sort of outside the tackle, and I'm watching them, and they come up, and here they come, and I'm saying, to me, I start yelling lead, lead, lead before it's even lead, and smash into the lead block, jam him in the hole, and then try to get a hand on the other guy. And I'm hoping, and I know Ronnie Lott came flying in, and usually sometimes they can jump over the top, but I did my job. And so as I got up and I saw Ronnie jumping up and down, I'm like, okay, I know we stopped him. And they did it again. And then on the third down play, and I attribute the good tackle to all the years of playing rugby, because in rugby, you don't have pads. You got to pick them up. You got to use your legs. And when you run into them, you got to lift them up, put them on the ground. And so I was going out there, and sure enough, there that guy goes, and he's pretty quick, and he's flying out in the flat. And I'm saying, there's that pass in the flat. Off I go and hit him just right as he's starting to catch the ball to turn to step in. And I mean, it's inches. And actually all three of those plays were inches down there. And each time they unpile, they're, we're thinking, did we or did we not? And the last play where I hit head on head, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I'm going, well, the goal line's right here by my waist. You're in the pile and you're at the bottom because you hit the first lead block, and you're going, okay, if he didn't jump over the top, we stopped him. And so you unroll and get up. Yeah. And, I saw Ronnie Lott jumping him down like a maniac. So the minute I rolled over, I said, okay, we did it.
Well, yeah, without that play, I mean, that changes the ballgame.
Yes.
And possibly you guys lose.
Well, the thing I watch, and if you watch their coach and their sideline at that last play, it's like they're like this, and then they all go, oh. It's like they just deflated. I mean, it was like they had never been stopped like that, especially with those great big backs. They had those powerhouses. And so we kind of took the wind out of their sails right there.
Absolutely.
Amazing. To this day, it still gives me chills when I think about that play. And I'll give you just a kind of a quick story. The next day, and I didn't sleep that night. I was up and I had your team posters all over my walls, and I was so excited. And my mom and dad knew, hey, he's going to be a zombie tomorrow. Yeah. I didn't sleep that whole night. And so I go to school the next day, and my teacher sat me next to the other chatterbox in the class, which I never figured out. But the two of us every Monday, when you guys got rolling, it was the original sports talk radio. We got going. Yeah. And so, and we just talked football all day. And so we had this nun who was our teacher, and she was not a football fan. So she knew we were going all day long, and she's, so finally it's math class. And she is absolutely, by this point, done with us and just not paying attention all day. And so she comes over and the guy's name was Jeff. She walks over and she goes, Jeffrey, if you scored 15 touchdowns, how many points would you have? He said, it's math class. And he has his back to her. He goes, I don't know. And I'm kind of looking at her and I'm looking at him, and the whole class is real quiet. And she goes, and why don't you know, Jeffrey? Because she thinks she's got him. She figures, he's going to say, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. And he goes, he didn't tell me how many extra points we kicked, sister. And the class didn't want to laugh because they respected her, but the walls came down. So all of us youngsters, guys our age, when you guys won that game, oh my God, we were champions.
Yeah.
We all felt like 49er champions. And I don't know if the gravity hit the team, for the little guys like us at that time, what it did to all of us and how we felt. It was incredible. Growing up in the area as he and I did, and our parents raised us to be loyal to the area. You are born here, you will cheer for the teams here. It was just incredible, that feeling that it wasn't Pittsburgh, it wasn't Dallas, it wasn't Oakland. It was us. And what you guys gave us was incredible. Absolutely incredible. And
I could do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
and so it's a thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
But Super Bowl 16, you come home. There's the big parade. Can you kind of sum up what that was like? When did it sink in that you won the world championship?
Well, it really didn't sink in until I got my ring, and I was staring at it, and I never had that many diamonds and stuff. So, but just flying back on the plane, you're numb. It's like, we just won the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? And then to come to San Francisco and see the passion. I mean, everybody came out. I mean, I was scared on some of them. I'm like, there's just too many people here. I'm a country guy. I'm like, this is wall to wall people. And so the parade was great. And we got to see, everybody was talking, the mayor and, everybody came out, and it was just really exciting. And it was long overdue. I was glad I got to be a part of it. And so some of the new guys, that's why I always say, you weren't here when we were the worst.
Yeah,
and booed and this, and then to go to this, it's different. The guys that just showed up that year, they're like, oh, well, this is what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you bring anything back with you from Pontiac, Michigan that you still kind of hold dear from that incredible day?
Well, just the tackle and to, a hit kid from Roseville being in the Super Bowl. I mean, I literally, when I went on the field, I felt I wasn't even touching the ground when I was running. It was like, I'm floating through it. This is unbelievable. And you just kind of walked around and you kind of saying, got to soak this in because, before you know, it's going to be over. And so it was just one of those things that you say, wow, this is it. And, and actually that was one of the songs they played in the locker room. This is it. And so it was just with a great group of guys that all hung together, drank beer together, had fun together. And it was just, it was our time.
Well, Super Bowl 16, it was also different than any other return because we'd never been there before.
Yes.
And so, after Super Bowl 16, every subsequent time back to the Super Bowl, we've done this before and we'll do it again.
Yeah.
But that was a special one you were at.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm sure that there were those moments of we may never come back here again.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
But I got to go to two, and I played inside linebacker in one, and I played outside linebacker in the other. So that was interesting. And we got to go against Miami, which was fun. And because growing up, I had two guys that were running backs, and I was a linebacker. So we're hitting each other, and they always say, I'm Jim Kick and Larry Zonka. I'm like, yeah, right. So I got to go against Larry Zonka, but they used to always talk about it, and they say, yeah, we watch it. But one time when later I went against him when he was in New York, at the end of his career, and there he is, and here I am, and I go, I know my buddy Tom Cummings, the fullback, he's going to be saying, hey, Larry's going to run him over. So here he comes. It's inside. Bam, I hit him, and that guy's a load. I mean, he's like Earl Campbell. Him and Earl Campbell, I rate him right up there. We hit, jammed my neck, pinched the nerve in my neck. I'm in pain, but I ain't going out because my buddies back here in Roseville are going to go, oh, he put you out. So I played the rest of the I've been coming out. My neck going, you all right? Yeah, I'm fine. But he was a load, and he was tough, but I stopped him right at the goal line. So I was like, yes. But I paid a price.
Does that happen a lot? I mean, I'll put it this way. You're out there, you 11 guys, you know each other pretty well, especially when it's late in the year and you play together for the first time. Does it happen a lot where someone got their bell really rung?
Oh,
and
yeah.
You kind of look him in the eyes and
no,
you say,
Ronnie Lott a couple times. I was like, Ronnie, you need to go. He gets so mad. He would, just like I would too. Get out of here. I'm not leaving the field. Are you kidding me? Unless they're carrying me off. And that's a mentality back in those days was, you don't go field unless they're carrying you off, or you can't get off and they're helping you. So, I'm a little dinged. And there was numerous times you hit and you'd be, like I said, Earl Campbell, a couple times you get up and you'd be like, whoa. And then they're in the huddle and they go, Dan, call the signal. I can't see the coach. I can't see the signal. So I guess I'm on the linebacker. What is he singing? Oh, it's over my cover 3 light. Okay, over my cover 3 light. Ready to break, but you're just like, ooh. So That's part of the game. It's just I don't know if I could play nowadays.
Well, the game's definitely changed from
it's,
back
it's,
then.
it's kind of hugging and wrapping up. Nobody hits. You can't hit. You get in trouble if you hit.
Mm-hmm.
It sure feels that way. It's almost as if, the NFL really wants to protect their cover boys. Whereas in your era, I would watch Joe Montana just get lit up, and he would somehow, Keith Fahnhorst or somebody would pull him. He's 2 feet down in the grass, and Keith is pulling him out of the grass, and
Joe's not a very big guy. He's a skinny
he's
guy. We used to always say, I said, what? You get broke? He says, no, I just kind of banned.
Hey, I'm convinced the only reason my mom liked him, she thought he was Barry Manilow.
Oh yeah, we used to bug him about that. Barry Manilow looked like.
Yeah, and she said, "Oh, Barry Manilow." I was like, "Oh, Mom, come on." Yeah. Before we get too much further, I really want to talk about Bill Walsh, if that's okay. Bill Walsh, and people have called him an innovator. I mean, he was a GM, he was a coach, he did all these different things. For you were there you saw 2 coaches before Walsh came in and a different GM, Joe Thomas. So you saw guys kind of fumble around a little bit, then they bring in this guy Walsh. Yeah. What was it like during the transition, and what was it like working for Bill Walsh?
That's a tough one. Because Bill Walsh, I saw him get rid of guys, and some guys are really good. If it wasn't his pick, and my buddy Russ, who played for Detroit Rams, and he's been a scout and agent, and he's done everything. And he says, dude, head coach comes in, I don't care how good you are, you're gone. If you end up staying a little bit, that's a blessing, because they want their own people. It's like you don't buy a company. You come in and you clean house and you get your people in there. He was an innovator. I loved going against his offense. I would do all the dummy defense all the time. And him and I kind of had words a few times. So me being a joker, I thought, well, how do I get this guy? So I would come in early, because I would get to the facility super early, and I get treatment and steam and sauna and do everything, because I lived in a boat or a trailer out in the harbor. And so long story short, I would go into his office upstairs, because no one was there, and I would see all the plays they were running that day. And he'd have his whole offense scripted. He scripted everything real good. So I would watch all the stuff, and I'd always do the dummy stuff, because it gave you more reps. And the more reps, the better you get. Sure. So I'd line up, and they'd come out in this weird formation. I said, "Oh, that's that counter G or whatever." And bam, I'd blow it up. "Oh, you didn't read that play." He said, "That guy went this way." I said, "That was a terrible fake. He didn't even fake the ball that good." And then I'd do about 3 in a row, and he'd be losing his mind, because these are his plays.
Yeah.
And I'm blowing him up.
Yeah.
But it was just, and he would do things to me, and I'd do things to him. And so that was a little cat and mouse thing there.
So he would joke with the players.
Oh yeah, he always would joke
lot.
to the players.
Yeah.
He would try to pull pranks, because he played semi-pro with my old coaches from college, and they used to prank him a lot. And they thought Bill was messing with me, because they pranked him so much. You know how it is. That's what makes the team, gives you some fun. And instead of smashing into everybody all day, somebody takes a guy's jock strap and puts a little heat in it. And then you put it on, you're outside, they're running around, and all of a sudden they're going, "Oh!" And you see the guy sprinting for
Never seen him run so fast before. Yeah.
And everybody's going there laughing, because they don't know what's happening. And coach would get mad. Guys would mess with guys, work pants and give them like the 3 size smaller, and they get in. Bubba's trying to put on smalls, and then he's going, "These are my pants." And so it's just the banter and just the fun that guys do when you get a bunch of guys together.
How long did it take you guys to believe in him? 'Cause I'm sure sitting through 2-14, you think to yourself, "Okay, here comes another guy," right? Because you'd already seen 2 head coaches prior.
You kind of go, "Whoa, what the heck?" Yeah. And at that point, a lot of guys were going, "This is worse," because he's cutting everybody and bringing all these people in. And he brought in some people that sometimes, you don't get a lot of pub when they come in for a week and then they're gone, or 2 weeks. And what are they bringing this guy in for? He's terrible. And, "Oh, this guy, don't worry, he'll be all right." And So it does take time, and but his offense, because I've gone against, it's like Walter Payton, was great, but it was Walter right, Walter left, Walter on a screen pass, boring. I mean, boring. It's the poor guy. I mean, if he would have been in Bill Walsh's system, he would have been really phenomenal because that guy could do everything. And so yeah, Walsh would come out with some stuff, and it just made our defense better. So I love going against them because you'd see stuff you don't normally see, and it really make you think. You go from trips to a base defense, from a base defense to, people are moving everywhere, and so you're like this. You're having to read everything, and on the field, you got to make those changes right now. You're slanting them this way. Now you're in cover 2. Now you go to cover 3, and boom, and then the play goes. And now you got to know, what are we doing? And so that's what I liked about the game. That's why I like cone signals, and I like being a middle linebacker, because you made all the changes, and it was like a chess match. If they come out in this and they go there, we got to slant the line now, and you got to go from man coverage to basic cover 3 and things like that. So it's that's what I loved about the game, and the violence.
Was there one thing that we don't get sitting at home watching it on TV? Is there a lot of trash talking down in the field? I know the Dallas and the 49ers, I'd heard about the stories with Joe and Too Tall, and
there are some guys that will say stuff, but on the field, to me, people would talk, I'd tell them they were number one, and I would like, okay, let's see what happens on the next play, because really, talk is cheap. It's just, let's see what happens. And it's the score and hitting people. And guys do every once in a while. And I've had some cheap shots where they get on you and they slide up and punch in the chin, or, try to gouge you or something. And then that's when you start to lose it, when they're cheap shotting you later, or hit you at the end of the whistle, then you have a few vernaculars for them and get in their face. And then I'm keep my eye on you. And then there's been a couple times where like tight end or something cheap shotted me. So I'm waiting, and play's almost over, and they're starting to blow the whistle, and I see him, and I turn, and I just light them up, and they're already stopped. And hey, I'm going to throw it. No, I was slipping. You try to talk your way out of it. But, that doesn't happen a whole lot. There's only a couple of times I went after a guy like that because they cheap shot me. And I'm like, okay, I'll remember that. I'll get you. There's somewhere on the field when you're not looking that, you get a chance.
One of the moments I have to bring up, because I talked about what it was like for us as youngsters when you won that first Super Bowl and how amazing that was. 83, you're in the NFC title game in Washington. And they had this incredible comeback. Teams down by 21 points. Joe brings them back to tie it in the last quarter. It's now 21 apiece. Yeah. You end up losing. On what I feel, and in all of Walsh's books, he brings it up, it was really taken from you. There were just some phantom calls to let the Redskins get down the field and win the game by a field goal. So you don't go to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
I know I wasn't the only 13-year-old in tears that day, because I thought it was really taken from you.
I was in tears.
Well, I don't blame you. It was really horrible. But that having been said, did that inspire the 84 team to be better than a referee's call, to say, we're not going to let the referees take it from us this time. We're going to go out and we're going to kick everybody's ass.
Well, that's what you got to do. It's kind of like, when it's close, there's always marginal calls, and a lot of people, it's Washington, it's, back there, there's some kind of deal with the Washington thing, I don't know. It's, but you just got to make sure you're far enough ahead that there's, with our offense, they used to be able to score like crazy, and we just got to stop them enough, and you win by 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then you don't worry so much at the end of the game.
Well, that was the amazing thing. I noticed you have the Dwight Clark pin on your collar.
Yes.
Dwight wasn't even active for that game. Joe brought him back 3 touchdowns in the last quarter without his top receiver.
Yes.
That's why I said, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But, I was at the Redskin game the Monday night the following year, and I again, didn't sleep the night before, because that was, for me, that was the revenge game.
Yeah.
But watching that 84 team, it's the best team I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just incredible. And honestly, nothing against the 72 Dolphins. I think that team had the best shot at going the full way without losing the game. It was that one game to Pittsburgh. It just didn't go your way that day.
Yeah.
You narrowly lost. Was that the best team you've ever seen? That 84 team that beat the Dolphins in the Super Bowl?
Ooh, that's hard to say. There's so many great guys that I'd hate to. That had a lot of talent. I mean, it had a lot of talent, and the system had been in, and guys knew the systems, and coaching changes had been, few of them been made, and that was a lot of talent on that team. There was, the early team was kind of like, wow, we turned a lot of ragtag guys into great stars, including myself.
Why don't we take a break for a moment, and we'll be back in a minute or two with Dan Bunce.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up, and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
Welcome back to the BallPark Sports Lounge with our special guest, Dan Bunce, John DeMakis, and I. Dan, did you have any superstitions?
Oh, yes. A lot of guys had superstitions, but I'd always try to eat the same meal, get dressed the same spot. John Ayers was really fanatical, sitting on the bus. I could be the last guy in the bus, and my seat would be right behind us, and he would, rookies, get the, he would like, that's Bunzo's seat. He sits there every time. And so we're winning, I'd sit in the same spot, and I'd do the same things, and, eat at the same restaurant, and try to do everything the same way once you got a winning system. And that's just the way it is. And most players have things like that.
Was there anybody that had one that you guys kind of rolled your eyes and said, oh, here he goes?
No, because I didn't really bother to bug people about what they do. I was busy always, when you're calling a signal, it's not only do you do your ritual, but then you got to kind of go through it. And it always made me nervous. And I didn't find out till later. I'm dyslexic. I got a short-term memory deficit. I don't know if I got that from all the concussions, but I was like, I have to make all these calls, and I don't want to ever be my fault for messing something up. Right. So we'd go over them and over them. I'd be going over the whole sheet just before the game as we go out. Sometimes halftime I'd go over and then ask them questions. This ain't working. We're doing the slant on this. Maybe we should change it, and the guy's not getting down. They're turning out and leaving a big gap there for me to cover. So, you just do the things you think are best.
Was there a stadium you played in when you just walked out on the field for pregame and said, like, you always wanted to play there? Maybe you watched it on TV when you were a kid.
Well, when we played the Pittsburgh Steelers, because all my buddies and Jack Lambert had the long hair and the wildness and the craziness, and they had all the wins and they were the team, and it was like, okay, we're playing the Steelers. And that was, oh yes, this is the guys I used to watch as a kid, and and some of those, there was a few guys there that were not left over from when I was a kid, but teenager, I guess. And it was kind of exciting to be there and be in that stadium that won, a lot of championships and Super Bowls. And it's just kind of unbelievable. Like I said, a hit kid from Roseville, and you're like, whoa, here we are. And I always like going to the stadiums because you walk out and it's so massive. And it's kind of like, I'm waiting for the Lions to come running in, you know.
So going back to you mentioned Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. Yeah. Was that the game when you guys went in there and beat them?
Yeah.
In their house that year?
Yeah.
Did you start to feel like, hey, we might have something here, or did you already know going in?
Well, we knew that hey, we're pretty good. Yeah. Wouldn't being braggadocious, just watching our offense and going against each other in practice, and the people were playing, and then to go there when we won there and came out of there. That was a great feeling. It was like, we got something. We just got to hang on to it.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody starts, doubling down. You don't want to get too crazy with it, but you just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. So was that a Coach Walsh thing, or did he tell you guys, because you had a young team in 81, especially with the DBs, did he have to tell you guys, hey, we have a lot more to go here?
He would have, he was into the psychology bag, and he would, kind of give little speeches about certain things or come in and talk to the DBs. And he didn't mess with the defense too much, but every once in a while he would come over and say a few words, and that made us feel good because even in practice, everything was offense. I mean, if we messed up a play, okay, go on. Offense. We got to run that again. We got to run it again. I was like, they get to run everything over and over. I mean, it was an offensive structured team, and if you have a defensive coach, everything's defense. You know how it is. Yeah. The boss calls the shots.
Plus, you were at the old facility in Redwood City. It's not like the new one. You didn't have 9 fields to where you could, you were at that older facility there, kind Redwood of a public City, park practically.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
People look at that and they go look at the new thing and they're like, whoa. It's a different world, but that had a lot of character in it. The bad thing about that place was you couldn't be in the shower. You had to get in the first 10 guys or you didn't get hot water. Uh-oh. And then when they flushed the toilet, you had to jump out of the shower because you'd get scalded.
Oh my gosh.
So that was our facility.
And this is an NFL. I mean, there's no way the league goes for this nowadays. There's no way.
No, it was an old building, but it was our building. It was okay.
That's cool.
I would have dressed in the parking lot if I had to.
Well, just kind of reminds me of that old Joe Montana saying I heard years ago. Somebody was complaining about Candlestick Park. He goes, yeah, it's a piece of garbage, but it's our piece of garbage.
Yeah, it is. It is. You get pooped on in the parking lot.
Seagulls flying.
It's our garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. It was different. It was dank and it was crazy, and it was just a good stadium. I thought,
all our history is there.
We really grew up there.
Yeah.
Honestly.
When they decided not to build a new one, I was sad. I was like, wow, they do need a stadium, but man, all that. So many times in the parking lot, we lose, and then you get an argument with fans, and you're out there, as a player. It's like, dude, Dan, you're out in the parking lot, you played 100 plays, and you're arguing and getting fisticuffs with fans.
Well, that's right, because you guys had to drive through the parking lot to
leave. To get out.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And then we always had a motorhome or somebody there that drove in, and so I'd always go out and meet some guys that I played high school or college, and we'd sit around and tell war stories. Why can't you guys win? Oh, don't even go there. Drown your sorrows.
So you're saying that the ticket requests were a little higher after 81.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody is your buddy after, the team starts winning.
Hey, yeah, nothing like winning. I mean, it's funny. You go somewhere. I used to go to this place called the Vans up in the hills.
Belmont. Yeah.
Everybody started going there after a while, but I would just go there originally when I met this guy, Loring, and it's just nice and quiet, and you can go in there and have a drink, and he would just berate you. You're actually going to have a drink after that performance? I'm like, Loring, don't say anything. I want to kill you.
Yeah, easy.
And he always had the rankings,
the standings.
Standings, and we had our little placard thing up there. He'd bend it up and smash it in the corner. Don't do that. Please don't do that. But it was a really good place to eat, Italian place. And then when we started winning, you start saying, well, if you guys want, you can come there. So a lot of guys, especially the offensive line, we'd go there and he would buy us every game we won. One year he said, I'll buy you dinner, because he said, I probably have to buy one or two. He was giving us a bad time. And that was the year we started winning everything. He says, oh man, I said, your place is so crowded and so busy. I've never seen it so busy in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And so he made bank, but he always bought us a dinner.
That's cool.
Every time we won. So that was nice.
So
Became the spot.
you mentioned a couple times the offensive line doing things. Did guys hang out together with their position players? Like, did you and Keena hang out, or was it like the linebackers hang out together, or the offensive line hangs out together?
Usually after practice, somebody would say, we're going to Harry's or we're going to here and meet. But the offensive line, I don't know, they kind of adopted me. And so a lot of times, hey, we're going, okay, I'm coming. And John and I got along, and we, you're trying to kill my neck, Bunzo. Could you take it easy, So we'd sit and share beers, and it was usually the offensive line. There was a couple of defensive guys, but mostly offensive line guys. Was
there a player during your time that you really looked forward to playing against? Was there somebody that you really maybe admired from afar and said, I don't necessarily want to hit him, but, I'd like to hit him?
Well, Larry Zonka was the one I wanted to hit.
Sure.
Because my buddies, he'd kill you. I said, are you kidding me? And then the other one was Earl Campbell. And Earl Campbell came out the same year I did, and he was number one, very first pick. And that guy was a load. And same thing, I pinched my nerve hitting him, but I stopped him, and so he was on that side. He didn't run me over, but that guy, he was like a linebacker running the ball, and he would dip and come into you, and he had some power, and he had some moves. He could spin and do stuff. And so a couple times we played him, I felt good that I nailed him a number of times. I was going, okay, because he's one of the best. And the other one that was the big hero was in Chicago, and it was Walter Payton, and he was kind of an idol. And guy had the moves, had the quickness, but he wasn't very big, but he was strong as heck. He had some power. And so early in my career, I can't remember, first or second year, I hit him and got knocked back, and I had the picture somewhere. The ball's flying away from him, and they go, Walter, you don't normally fumble. What happened? He says, I haven't been hit that hard in a long time. So I was like, yes. In the paper, I was like, here's, to me, one of the best running backs ever. And I jacked him up. And it was good. But there was sometimes he gave me the 1 foot dash and gone. It's like, where'd he go? He was good.
You look back at some of the names from the era when you played, guys like Alzado or Matuzak or something like that. Do you ever have any run-ins with them?
No, I'm smarter than that. No, honestly, Matuzak, I did the movie North Dallas 40, and he was on that, and he was a character, and him and I got in a little argument there, the Niners, because we weren't doing that good back then. Oh. And so a couple guys that were other football players said, Bunzo, are you crazy? You just pissed off a maniac. Are you kidding me? You're getting in his face. And because I said some things to him I probably shouldn't have said, but he was being real cocky, and we weren't winning, so I had to defend my team, and that probably wasn't a real good mood, because after that he was kind of always giving me the eye. But that movie was kind of a crazy thing to be on. That's another thing I did. I didn't really believe NFL, shock, hit kid from Roseville. And then all of a sudden I'm in a movie. Actually what happened was my roommate, Russ Bollinger, who played for Detroit and the Rams, and he's been in the NFL forever, scouting and coaching. And I'm going to be an actor. He took acting lessons. I said, get out of here, Russ, you're crazy. So he goes, hey, we're shooting this thing. It's a football movie. We're down at Long Beach or whatever. And I said, really? At the stadium? Yeah. You need to come down, Bunzo. There's some guys from the 49ers, this and that. So I show up. So Russ is there, and he's all excited. I come on, and I had my long hair, and it's a little bit out of sorts, hungover, had a bad day. And talking to some of the guys and throwing football around, all of a sudden this director comes up, dead caught chicken. He's going, oh, what's your name? I said, Dan Buns. He shakes my hand. He goes, and he starts doing this. I'm like, what the heck? And so all of a sudden, he asked me if I wanted to be in a movie. I said, sure. You want to be in this movie? Yeah. I said, yeah. And so long story short, they signed me up. So I fill all this paperwork out. And he goes, come the next day. So I come the next day, but all of a sudden, I got a part. So Russ has lost his mind, my roommate, my best buddy from college. Are you kidding me? You got a part in this? I got the book, I got the script. And then they bring a trailer and they write my name, Dan Buns. I got a trailer. Yeah. You got a trailer. So I'm going, we have a break, you shoot all night, doing stuff. And it's hard work. And so you come back and I got an hour or half an hour before we need us. So I go to my trailer and he comes in, he's behind me and I go, whoa, what are you doing? He goes, I'm coming in and saying, I said, sorry, this is for the stars. Clack, I shut the door. He's pounding on the door.
That's awesome.
You should have seen his face. It was like, and it was just great. And he's the greatest guy. And so he comes in finally. I let him in. I said, come on, But he's like, I thought you were starting to get to be cocky, man. So it was fun. I something I never would imagine doing, except I fell into it and showed up. And they said they didn't need anybody. And then I got a script and I got to meet Nick Nolte and all those guys. And they're goofy, just like football players. And we had fun together. And it was fun shooting the movie.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for coming on today. And one last thing that I'll say is, like I mentioned earlier, John and I are from the Bay Area. We were told by our parents, hey, you take care of your own, you buy local, you support your sports teams. The 70s were, well, you were there. It wasn't the easiest. Sunday was you go to church, you go out to the game, and it was a quiet ride home. That was kind of baseball or football for us. It was kind of the same deal. And we went to school and we'd hear it from our classmates and our neighbors and everybody else. And they got the Dallas shirt and the Raiders shirt, and you're hearing it. And you guys gave us an immeasurable gift to go back at those guys and tell them to stick it in the rear.
It's bragging rights.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me?
Right. And so thank you for today. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. And this has been wonderful.
Well, good. I'm glad I enjoyed it. This was fun.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out and just all that great information about your time is priceless. Really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I always tried to have fun. Anything I did got me in some trouble sometimes.
Well, yeah, that does happen.
Well, till next time, folks. Thank you so much for watching. From BallPark Sports Lounge, I'm Larry Watson.
I'm John DeMacus.
And that's Dan Buns.
Dan Buns.
Take care.